My name's Ryan, and I'm the founding member and owner of Greenfish here in Cape Town, South Africa. And I've been fishing since the age of 5. And this lifelong obsession was kind of born on my 5th birthday when my dad gave me a little fishing kit. It was a little yellow fishing rod, and all I wanted to do was go down to the river and catch a fish, and I did. And I've actually got that photo of my dad and myself on my 5th birthday in my office, and it's a very treasured possession of mine. And from there, my brother and I, you could say, got hooked. And this lifelong obsession has begun. And it really started by going to any little puddle or stream or harbor and just fishing. And what's been so remarkable is that through fishing, I've been able to travel the world and do what I love and learn in different parts of the world and get different experiences from all parts of the world. And it's really broadened my horizon on different styles of fishing, different species, different processing methods, different ways people catch in different areas. And, you know, I don't want to do anything else than what I do here with fish. So I started catching for pocket money in high school on very small scale boats, boats that are between sort of 6 and 10 man, that were day vessels going out of Table Bay primarily to catch snook. It's a handline caught fish, and I just did this on weekends, you know, while I was at school, and made a little bit of pocket money. And what I used to do, because I wasn't very good at catching many, like some of the older, more experienced guys, because there's quite a hierarchy on the boat. You know, you could say the greenhorn must sit right in the front, while the experienced guys get to sit at the back, because you catch more fish if you sit at the back of the boat. And I was sitting right in the front, and I didn't catch very many. But what I used to do to improve the amount of money I made is I used to take my half that I was allowed and take them home and what we call fleck them, which is like fillet them and salt them. I used to go down to the hospital where my mom worked and sell them to make a little bit extra. And I was just a young boy at that time, but little did I know that would be the beginning of, you know, this lifelong career that I've been on in this journey. And little did I know at the time that would be sort of my first footsteps into entrepreneurship and into processing and value adding into fish, especially in the small scale sector. After school, I started catching tuna because it paid a little bit more, and I used my money from the tuna boats to fund my studies. I studied architecture, and I think in my 3rd year or my 4th year, my lecturers came to me and said, "Listen, Ryan, what's the deal? You're never really in class. You're always out fishing. You know, what's the story?" And I said, "But, you know, I'm kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place here, because I go to sea to make money to pay for the studies. If I don't go to sea, I don't make money. If I'm in class, I'm not at sea. And, you know, it's just a tough one." And they said, "Well, you're going to have to come up with something." And I did. This was in around 2003, 2002. And I just happened to be in the right place at the right time. You know, as with life, you need a little bit of luck on your side. And I thought, well, I know the tuna boats. I know how to catch tuna. There's a huge sushi boom busy happening in Cape Town. I'm just going to join the dots. And I literally took my small pickup and went to the boats that I was fishing on and said, "Do you mind if I buy sort of 3 to 5 tuna from you?" And I went door to door to restaurants in Cape Town, knock, knock, knock. "Hey, do you want to buy tuna from me?" And sort of formalized my trading. And, you know, I'll never forget, there was a small sushi shop called Sushi Nori, Chinese lady named Quincy. And she said to me, this is almost 20 years ago, she said to me, she's not a very big shop. She can only use one tuna like every 10 days. And I said, no, that's fine, you know, as long as I get this sale. And now it's almost 20 years, I'm still delivering to her one tuna every 10 days. I took my wife there for one of our first dates. You know, she's seen my wife and I get together in front of her in that little sushi shop in that little window. I've seen her children grow up, and you know, it's been really special. Some of the memories that I've had, or some of the career paths that I've seen from this fish trade. In 2010, I formalized Greenfish, and one of the real benefits or big things that we did is starting our own factory. And you know, with life, you always pay your school fees along the way. I bumped my head plenty by making lots of mistakes, but I think that's part of the reason of why we are so successful now. A lot of our competitors, I like to refer to as maybe like telesales type people that, you know, phone a restaurant, hey, do you have tuna? They read down the list, tuna sold out. They phone Ryan at Greenfish, they say, hey, do you have tuna? We say, no tuna today, but don't worry, there's a weather gap on Thursday. The south wind's going to blow. It's going to bring in the warm water. The bait fish are going to push up. The tuna will be there. We'll catch. We'll have tuna for you for Friday afternoon, you know? So I think it's really this passion and love that's propelled the business. I mean, both my brother and I totally obsessed with fishing, with diving, surfing, anything to do with the water. Our wives are always upset with us because when it's our day off from fishing, we go fishing, and when we don't go fishing, we go fishing. So it's pretty much all we do is eat, sleep, and dream anything fish related. The staff in my factory are absolutely unbelievable. I love each and every one of my staff members. I've got the very first person that I ever employed, Talani, he's still with me, and everybody that's joined the Greenfish family is still here. We have, I almost want to say, a zero staff turnover. Everybody that's in this factory gets excited by beautiful fish. My wife always jokes that she doesn't have to worry about me looking at some sexy supermodel. She gets so upset because I'm like, yo, babe, you should have seen this tuna I saw at work today. You know, it was so sexy and round, the fins, the color, you know. So those are the things that kind of get me excited, you know. So yeah, like I say, my staff love fish. Well, tuna is my favorite. I've traveled the world. I went to Canada to catch giant bluefins. I went to Skiji Fish Market in Japan to see the old fish market there. I've caught bluefins down in Tasmania, in Australia, in Kenya, Madagascar, in the Maldives, through to looking at fisheries in New Zealand. You know, this sort of want to learn and just see more different techniques has really taken me everywhere. And yeah, like I say, I'm not going to stop doing what I love, and I'm really getting involved now with the IPNLF, and I want to give back in terms of what I've learned, not so much in a monetary way, because you know we're a small family-run business. We definitely don't have the economies of scale as some of the larger organizations, but what we do have is experience. I'm 37 now, been fishing since 5. So, I mean, there's many years of different types of fisheries and different types of fishing. And I think what really sets us apart is that we have both the fishing background, how to look after the fish, how to catch them, you know, all the systems on the boat and the factory, and then the customer interaction. So I really think that's what gives us the competitive edge, is that we've got that full from start to finish, that full journey, and we really are telling just the story of who we are. And you know, last year we had the COVID pandemic. Now, I'd based 20 years of business on supplying the restaurants and the hospitality trade. And that came to a halt immediately. Like literally, our president went onto TV and said, "We're locking down our country in 3 days' time. That's it." And from being 100% into the trade, within 3 days, we totally turned our business around and started supplying fish to home consumers. And it was a incredible transition because my cousin Louis knocked up a website, and our country went into lockdown on the Thursday evening. And Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we built a website. We tried to prototype it as best we can. And on Monday morning, I went onto our Instagram and said, "How's it, South Africa? I'm Ryan. I'm going to sell you a piece of tuna and I'm going to deliver it to your door." And the next minute we got an order and we're like, "Oh dear, what now? How do we do this? How do we package it? How do we deliver it?" You know, all of these sort of challenges were all of a sudden in our way. And this was in a time when you couldn't just go to a packaging shop and say, "Hey, give me some packaging," because everybody was closed. And it was a tremendous first month. We got so well supported. And if you go and just look on our website or on Google reviews and just go see what people are saying about us, in 1 year, I think we've got almost 2,500 reviews from the public, and majority of them are saying, "Wow, we've never eaten seafood like this before. It's handled beautifully. We can see the care and attention that's been put into it." And for the first time in my life, I'm truly feeling like an exceptional fishmonger, that people are appreciating the skills that I have. Fishing is an exceptionally hard job, and artisanal style fishing like we are doing is a dying trade. It's very sad because we have long hours, hard work, and it's very erratic. Somebody said to me the other day, fishing's kind of the only gambling that's not a sin, because you go out there, you spend all this money, you don't know if you're going to make it back, and it really put into perspective for me about, how much risk and reward there is, and especially when we're competing against some of the large industrial style fishing methods that have a much larger economies of scale than what we do. That price points and all of that has been very difficult. And what I've found over this last year with the adaptation of our business and now servicing the public, besides being a fisherman, I found my job becoming more of an educator. I've found in the last year what I'm doing is actually just educating people. And it's just amazing to see how little people know. South Africa is a very meat-dominated culture, unlike the Europeans. I don't know the stats at the top of my head, but it's something like European people eat like 60 kilos of seafood a year, and South Africans eat like 2 kilos of seafood per person per year. So it's very, very different. So South Africa is a very meat-dominated culture. And so I found myself becoming an educator, and people are never before asked, where's our fish come from? How is it caught? What impact is it happening? So we've been educating in that regard. And then the other big thing is people are saying, but hey, we don't know how to cook fish and enjoy fish. And my wife created a blog called The Fish Wife, and she does a blog. Pretty much, it's so simple. Hey, Ryan caught this. This is how you cook it with salt, butter, lemon juice, 15 minutes, done, bang, there's a weekday meal. And, South Africans have always eaten fish as like, oh, we'll eat that on the anniversary when we go to a restaurant. We're not finding people eating fish as a weekday meal here primarily. And we're trying to remove that fear of cooking fish, trying to remove that fear of eating fish, and trying to encourage people to ask questions. Where's my fish come from and how was it caught? Because not all fish are equal. One tuna lying next to another tuna may have different price points. And when you start asking the questions, you might find, hey, This one's cheaper for a reason. It was caught in a net with another 20 ton. Hey, this one was caught one by one, and they only caught 300 kilos for the day. You know, so it's. I mean, I could go on talking all day about these different topics because it's what I do. And it's what I love. I really, really love what I do, and I truly believe in what I do and the little differences that we are making. There's when I was coming home Sunday night, I was running in from the tuna grounds, and it was dark, and we were just short of the harbor, and the next minute we saw 2 flares go up. And we turned our boat around, we got on the radio, and everybody was kind of communicating with each other, and there'd been a collision at sea, and 5 people had gone overboard, and only 4 had been recovered immediately. So there was 1 person missing, and it was so amazing, the sense of community. All the tuna fishermen were in the area driving up and down looking for this missing person. And I actually had Craig from the IPNLF, he was on board with me, and he was like, Ryan, it just highlights how dangerous fishing is. You know, we're here in the pitch dark, somebody's just lost their life from a collision at sea. You know, it's just radical what we do to go and get these fish, and we really need to be heroing each fish that comes out the water. You know, I've had this philosophy all my years about every fish we take, we must achieve the maximum value for that fish. He gave his life to us. Now we must make sure we have honored and respected every part of that fish and used him and got the maximum value. Otherwise, we were better off letting it swim. You know, so I said earlier that, you know, we're not a big organization. We are a small family-run organization. My brother's working for us, my wife, his wife, you know, and that's kind of the core and our team of guys. But we truly believe that every little difference we make will make a difference at the end of the day. You know, we've got some products that we fly in. We understand it has a higher carbon footprint than some of our locally sourced products. You know, with those species, we plant 1 tree for every 10 fish that 10 boxes that we are selling, you know, as a small way of giving back. We've changed our packaging to using cardboard over plastic where possible, rewashable fish bins, you know, planting trees in fishing communities where there's been deforestation. It's all these little bits that can make some difference, and it really resonates a story to me. I don't know if you've ever heard the story of the starfish. So there was this big sea and 1,000,000 starfish washed up on the beach, and there was this old man walking down the beach, and there was 1,000,000 starfish washed up on the sand, and this old man, he bends down, he picks up 1 starfish, and he throws it in the water, and he walks another 2 or 3 meters, and he bends down and he picks up a little starfish and he throws it in the water. And along comes this young chap walking his dog, and he says to the old man, but listen, bud, there's 1,000,000 starfish here, you're never gonna make a difference. He says, no, I'm not going to make a difference for all these starfish, but for those 2 starfish, I've just made a difference, you know. So I believe if everybody can do a little bit, and start small, like I saw you're drinking out of a water bottle, not using a disposable one. That's a difference. That's making a positive difference in our world, you know. So we can't all run around in a loincloth and on a bicycle. It's physically not possible for everybody. But we can all make small differences that overall is going to make a big difference communitively. And, you know, that's really where my heart is. And that's the message that I want to spread and I want to help do. The other bit I'm helping with the IPNLF at the moment is to help fishermen in really remote areas of Africa that are not getting good value for their money, to help improve their techniques. Like, there's knowledge I can share with them. Hey guys, bleed it like this, cut it like this, do this, you're going to get a longer shelf life. Instead of having to kill 10 tuna, now you only need to kill 3 because you're going to get the same money because your value has gone up. You know, those are things that I'm very passionate about and where I'm at. Sorry, that was a long introduction.
That was an absolutely beautiful introduction. And honestly covered so many of the other questions I had. So thank you for letting it happen naturally and organically. It flowed
Yeah.
wonderfully. Love a lot of cool stories, a lot of really great experiences. Um,
I have,
yeah.
you know, I've been so blessed to live in this playground called Cape Town, where we have two different oceans on our doorstep. We've got, the cold Benguela of the Atlantic Ocean, and then we've got the warm Indian Mozambican current um, in the Indian Ocean. And, we get such diverse fish species. And just due to our sheer geographic location of where we are situated on the continent, right at the bottom, the two currents overlapping, we get blessed with so many amazing experiences. On Sunday, I had killer whales surfing behind my boat. A few weeks ago, we had some sea otters that were hand feeding in the harbor while we were waiting for the trailer. We've had schools of humpback whales, 40, 50 strong, come around us, seeing mako sharks jump. Or last week we had two sunfish that looked like they were mating or spawning with each other. We have albatross that come in their thousands that we get to see. I mean, and I drive around Cape Point to go out to the tuna grounds. I've driven around. It's the most picturesque mountain you've ever seen, with the moss on the one side, the cliffs on the other, and this little lighthouse. I've driven around that more times than I can count. And every time I go past it, I'm spellbound. And you're not going to believe me, I still cannot sleep every night before I go fishing. I still struggle with excitement. And I've been doing this my entire life. I still struggle with excitement the night before I'm going fishing. And I know, hey, I'm waking up in 3 hours' time to go fishing. I still struggle with it. And I'm so grateful that this business was born out of passion. Yes, it was born out of a bit of necessity, but the vision has always been on providing the quality and providing what we love and sharing what we do. And the money kind of came second. It wasn't like we went, hey, how are we going to make money? We went, let's go out and do what we love. And the money was kind of the byproduct. So my brother and I are both very blessed to do what we do. If you haven't figured out that I love fish by now, then yeah.
I was going to say, it sounds like you made the right decision following that passion and not going with architecture, I think.
Yeah, I would have struggled. But you know what it's like? You're in high school and your parents want you to do something after school, and your parents want you to go and study and get a job. And when you say, hey, mom, I'm going to become a fisherman and an entrepreneur, it's not a great, like when you meet like the in-laws for the first time, you say, hey, I'm going to start my own business. It's not a really good pickup line to impress the future in-laws. So we've had all these obstacles. We've had the ups and downs. You know what? We're still going. We still love what we do. And I still want to do this for the next 20 years.
That's great. I also looked at really quick your wife's blog and I got hungry. Even though it's 7 a.m, I was looking at this octopus like, that looks good.
Yeah, so her blog, if you look at her blog, she's got these different sort of recipes. The recipe we get the absolute most feedback from is, it's called the easiest grilled king clip. And that recipe goes like the following, just reciting from memory here. It's like, take a piece of king clip, put some salt and pepper and butter on it, and put it in the grill for 15 minutes or 12 minutes or whatever the case may be. And people are like, wow, it's so delicious and it's so easy. And we're like, yeah, because that's how fish should be. I mean, taste fish. If people ask me, Ryan, how do you eat your fish? I'm saying with salt and pepper. Don't give me a sauce, because I want to appreciate the flavor of the fish. Don't kill it with garlic and all of those things. And that website or blog of hers has been a tool to enable us to sell some of our fish.
What's your favorite recipe?
I really love tuna belly, in that tuna belly that she does, that we do on the braai. Braai is like a barbecue. It's basically you know what braai is? You guys call it barbecue, but you do it on a gas barbecue. We do it with wood and fire.
Okay.
So braai is very, very close to every South African man's heart, is his braai. Like, you could probably touch his wife before you touch his braai. It's like a sacred, you know. So I love tuna belly on the braai, and you know, we've really been educating South Africans to eat tuna belly because it's part of my whole thing about using the whole fish, you know. And yeah, it's probably my favorite piece of a tuna is the belly. That's what I like to eat.
That's funny because I lived in Spain for the last 8 years. I just moved back. My husband's from there. And I mean, it's a delicacy. It's the best part of the tuna.
It is.
But that's a culture, like you said, that they're like they're like the number 2 or number 1 consumer of seafood in Europe, which is
Yes,
already high seafood consuming. Yeah.
They're educated. In South Africa, and it drives me nuts. The guys take the tuna, they loin it, they take the belly, they throw the belly away, and they cut these little steaks. I'm like, please.
What do you do?
know, yeah, because I want people to use everything of the fish. And, you know, call it in beef. Everybody knows you get a sirloin, a rump, a fillet in beef. But in fish, they just say fillet or fish. You know, they don't understand that different parts of the fish have different applications. You know, the belly has an application, the top loin has an application, the tail part has an application. And when you break down a fish, as if you would break down a head of cattle, you know, there are different parts and different cuts, and they need to be treated in different ways. But that's just going as part of the education. And as I said, I don't feel South Africans are so advanced yet. We are working very hard, and I'm doing a lot of lectures to chef schools and people that are going to be our future ambassadors of food and seafood. I'm trying to educate, call it the up and coming people, you know, and give them and share some of my information with them, because those are the people that are going to be able to drive change.
And if you actually even want to share that picture for us to put onto the blog, I think that would be
just 1 second. I'm just going to grab it. It's
okay.
It's still a picture from when photos were actually photos, you know, before cell phones. I know you can't really see it, but that is like one of my early memories, you know. And you know, I've got pictures here of when I was a young boy with tuna and stuff, you know. This is like real old school with photo albums, you know. I found it.
That's wonderful.
My mother just sold sort of the family home that we grew up in, and I found all these photos and put it in here, and it's just, yeah, it's a priceless treasure. Yeah, I'm starting to share my love with my daughter. She comes fishing with me already a little bit. She's 4 years old. She comes to the factory and plays with fish and touches fish eyes, and yeah, it's so special, you know. So I don't know if I wanted to follow my footsteps of fishing, because I know how hard it is, and I see that there are really very, very few youngsters coming through the ranks. I'm not talking in my organization, within the line fishing community, there's very few. I do think, you know, our industry is definitely struggling for crew, because the skill of catching fish with a hand line has been lost. It's not been passed through the generations. Like I said, the youngsters are finding easier work. I mean, people do things on Facebook these days and probably make more money than us that fish for a whole day from 3 a.m. till 10 p.m., you know, and they do it for 10 minutes on a computer. So yeah, it is definitely something that is of concern, because there's a lot of tradition that goes with it. And these, you know, in South Africa especially, we've got these small coastal towns where it's 3rd, 4th generation fishermen, and these traditions and these towns really rely heavily on the style of fishing, and these are things that are possibly could get lost.
Yeah, it's a shame. It's something that we see all over the place where we work, that the average age of the fisher is older and getting older constantly. And there's a big concern about how do you attract young people into the industry. And then especially when people, like, I mean, I hear so many fishers say what you just said of like, I don't want my kid to go into this industry because it's hard and it's difficult and it's, you know, dangerous at times. So
it is. If we were not as diverse as we are, we would not be able to make our living. The only reason we are still, call it in the green financially, because we have our own factory. we process our own fish, we're catching our own fish, we're buying in some fish from the other fishermen. So we're able to add value. And that's only because of years of building it up. I mean, I started in my mom's driveway with one delivery vehicle and a chest freezer in the garage. You know, it took me 20 years to build up to this. You know, and the average fisherman is failing in South Africa. The average small scale fisherman, let me put it at that, and handline fisherman is failing in South Africa. And the trouble is they're getting poorer and poorer. And as you have a missed trip or fish trip where you caught nothing, you're just sinking, you know, that cycle, that spiral downwards just gets worse and worse. So yeah, to make a good living off handline fishing, yeah, very tough.
Yeah.
Our business did a full 360.
Yeah, that's why you made me think that you would be perfect to talk here.
To a point where our traditional, if you want to call it our traditional wholesale business, is being left behind from our new business that we started.
Yeah. It sounds like it would be a great story to share that I think, again, like in the, you know, with the desire to share these experiences with others that could maybe help them continue to adapt and deal with the issues.
Or just inspire them to push through those tough days. Because
Exactly.
I know how difficult it is. I was actually on the phone to one of the other tuna fishermen last night, and I was saying to him, Flap, I don't even believe that I know how to catch a fish anymore. You know, the last 6 trips that I've done, it's like we've broken even or just haven't broken even. I was saying to him, you know, I'm dying here. I can't for the life of me catch a tuna at the moment, you know. And some days you just need someone to say, yes, chin up, you're going to push through it. They're going to bite next week. You know, it's a tough mental game as well. And COVID, the people that made it are the people that were mentally strong.
Yeah.
And besides us adapting business-wise, the people that were mentally strong to just keep pushing when all the chips were down and down for a full year, you know, those are the people that were succeeding. And I don't think South Africa has yet seen the ramifications of COVID. I think we're still going to I think the worst is still to come in South Africa. You know, us being a very diverse country of exceptionally, or call it wealthy and very poor in our country, and with, I don't know what the exact stats are, but call it 20% of our population is, call it middle and upper class, and 80% of our population being on poorer side. I think those ramifications of COVID are still coming, and unfortunately it hits the poorer people first.
Yeah. And like you said, that's what we want to do it also from, I mean, it's why we believe in the Fisher Exchanges in the first place, but why we want to do this event from the perspective and stories that come from fishers themselves, because if they're going to hear that and really truly be inspired to push through, it's important that it comes from another fisherman that really knows what that lifestyle is, what it means to be a fisher, how hard it can be. So that's what's
I'm
really
not sure if you're aware, the island of St. Helena got its first airport ever 2 years ago. And I saw this as an opportunity for Greenfish because they've got a different tuna cycle than South Africa. And I flew over to St. Helena. I got export permits and I did the whole 9 yards. I designed boxes that we got over there. And I flew over there with 2 empty boxes, packed the first 2 tuna into this box and exported. And it was the first fresh tuna export in history off the island of St. Helena. That was done by us. And I went to fishermen that were 3rd, 4th generation tuna fishermen. And I had to now, they know exactly what they're doing. They're unbelievable fishermen. And I had to go to them and say, right, I see what you're doing. Awesome. I'm not here to change it. But if you do it like this, instead of getting whatever, $1, you can get $5, you know, then maybe you can think of it like this. And it was an exceptionally difficult way for me to approach, especially these older chaps, and say, hey guys, you got to rethink on how you're doing it. But I think what helped is I was actually on the boats with them. I went there and caught the fish with them. And when I pulled my first few fish with them, then I thought I kind of earned their respect. And then they kind of were half inclined to listen a little bit. But otherwise, you know, especially like you said, the average age is much older. You know, you got to earn these guys guys, you know, you got to get the nod of approval.
Totally. Well, Ryan, thank you so much for your time. I don't want to take up too much more of it, but
No
we
worries.
really
Our day's
appreciate
wrapping
it.
up here, so yeah, happy to help where we can. And if, like I said, if there's anything more I can do to assist, drop me a mail. Fairly on it, and yeah, let's get this and see where we can help and make a difference.
Sounds great.
Thank you so much,
Thank you
guys.
so
Have a
much.
good rest of your evening.
You too.
All
Bye.
right. Bye.
Bye.